Welcome to the Brawlcast podcast. I'm Double Dime here with Atrophius while he mends his throat for a few seconds. And thanks for tuning in. It is episode 3, and we got a lot to talk about because we just passed over Autumn's 2v2s. That just happened. So we do have quite a bit to talk about that. We have the Royale, the Autumn Royale coming up pretty soon, and then we will be looking forward to BCX. And potentially we might even look at we are going to look at a bit of a like what we think about Loki a week in, give or take.
Thank you for handling the intro. That was we should actually trade off that each week. I think that would be a pretty cool thing to do. So Autumn's, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I did not get a chance to watch any 2v2s other than North America. I was just not available at the time that the other tournaments were happening. So I'm primarily going to focus on NA as far as 2s goes. I'll pull up the results real quick just because I'm curious and because I don't actually know some of them. So let's see if anything surprising comes up here. Europe was Knees and Godly.
Yep.
That's a big one for those guys. Have they been winning a lot this year in 2s?
Acno and Blaze have won at least 2.
Okay.
So if it was Acno and Blaze, did Acno and Blaze win 1 or 2? I know they've won at least 1. I'm pretty sure they've won 2 off the top of my head. I could be totally wrong. But it's the first time Godly and Knees have won a tournament together. Yes, Summer plus 2 lands. Thank you very much.
See, this is why we have this is why we have guys like Sandwick to help us fill in the details.
Nah, he didn't actually fill in the details. He doesn't know who won Spring and Winters.
Oh, well,
what a bum.
Sandwick, you're worthless. What are you doing?
Yeah.
No, huge congrats to Knees and Godly. That's big going into BCX, especially with just in general how dominant like Europe tends to be in 2v2s as a game mode.
Yeah.
Like with the exception of BCX last year.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So if they come in with that kind of energy to BCX this year, I think that could be a big deal for Europe. South America was what we got here? Himway and Arrow?
Now you're looking at Southeast Asia.
Oh, you're right. I am looking at Southeast Asia. I forgot which one I opened. Yeah, Arrow and Himway. That's I don't know enough about this region. I'm gonna be real.
I know that Himway is the new Tiger, and he's been dominating.
Yeah, he also won 1s.
He won all 4 1s majors, and has also at least won 1-2s tournament. I don't know if he's won others, but he's won at least all 4 1s majors.
Okay.
I apologize in advance. They are landscaping for whatever reason at 7 o'clock at night in the dark behind me. So if you can hear the lawnmower, sorry guys.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of it, but it wasn't too bad.
Yep.
And then for actual South America, it was Kaina and Lores.
Yep, Kaina just continuing his dominance. Lores,
those guys
very,
are
very good player.
Those guys are effectively top 2 SA, right?
I mean, if you're gonna go by placings overall, I think it goes kind of use.
Okay, yeah.
Also, remember during the first episode when I was trying to remember the South American Ada player that popped off at the LAN? It was SAC. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he popped off and got like 7th at the first LAN of the year or something or whatever.
Right,
Anyways,
right.
and aside. But yeah, it was Kaina and Lores, and they're really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting watching BCX this year just all across the board. Like 2v2s is going to be wild. I feel like the fact that Snowy and Boomy split up and then Boomy and Sandstorm haven't really performed this year. It's kind of been like it created a big gap in 2s that's going to get filled by some team at BCX.
Yeah.
And it's going to be I feel like one of these like four-ish front-runner teams are just gonna dominate at BCX this year, and it's gonna look embarrassing for everyone that they fight against. How large the gap ends up being on land.
Yeah, you might be right. And then who won Australia? before we move on to North America, because
I do not have the Australian bracket handy. Sandwick, can you clue us in on who won Australia?
You should know.
For twos.
We're talking twos. We know who won ones.
For twos. Yeah, we're talking twos. Twos was this past weekend. We talked ones last week.
And we knew who won ones.
Yeah.
Right. Regendas and Dublicek. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, they've been pretty good. Dublicek has won a few twos tournaments this year, so that makes some sense. So that really does make some sense. Yeah, Regendas and Dublicek, really strong team. Makes sense. Don't know as much about the region. Gotta be honest, Southeast Asia and Australia, those regions are just off hours even for me. Yep. So it's really tough for me to tune into them.
Yep.
And I don't want to sound bad, but without the homie Tiger in Southeast Asia, it's just really hard for me to get invested. At least with Kyler still competing at a high level in Australia, I can stay invested, hoping for the homie.
Right.
But not seeing Tiger rocket, it sometimes makes it tough, to be invested in the region.
So that brings us to NA.
Yep.
And NA2s was weird because...
Yeah.
Because, so Sparky did his predictions tweet, and I thought he had pretty solid predictions, and he went 0 for 3.
Yep.
And I added my own running into his predictions, which was Mowgli and Balloon Boy.
Yep, I saw this.
And we went a combined 0 for 4.
Yeah, you were all wrong. You were all just wrong.
I believed in those guys, and I'm sad that they didn't make it farther. I actually want to pull up the standings real quick and see who they lost to.
Yeah, didn't they? I think they got 9th, if I remember correctly.
They did get 9th, and they lost to Megdi Radish
and Hizu and Daddy Hizo is who they lost to. And I don't think we should be too surprised. Hizo had top 8'd 3 of the 4 majors this year, so that's not a huge surprise.
No, I think that the losses that they took were not surprising. They looked really strong, and I was hoping for more of an upset.
You're right. I think it's just a nerves thing again.
Maybe.
Mowgli is the lesser known name of the two.
Right.
And Balloon Boy has some nerves still. I think he broke a lot of that in his big ones performance last week.
Mm-hmm.
But now he has to perform in front of a teammate and perform with a teammate, and that's just extra pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think their time's coming, especially Balloon Boys. I think he's just too good not to figure it out. 9th is a very respectable placing. That tournament was really hard.
Oh yeah.
They'll do fine going forward.
I think, twos. I don't know what it was about this particular bracket. I feel like, I don't know how many actual team changes happened, but it feels like something was wonky about the seeding for this event. So
it felt a little off. Yeah, you're right. The seeding felt weird. A lot of team changes, especially in the middle of the pack,
right?
Which really messes with the seeding. Like when 2 really top tier players meet up, they still fall in that kind of top 10 to 15 range. But when you have a top 15 and a top 32 player meetup, it can really, really mess with the seeding.
Yeah, it got a little weird. I still find it kind of mind blowing that the round 1 that we had happened. That was a crazy set that shouldn't have been that early in the tournament.
It was, we ended up playing Shadow Q12 and Darling round 1. Yeah. And we had a bye. So figure that one out.
That was a brutal round 1.
It was a tough round 1, but things happen. I mean, we had every opportunity to win the set. We had a lead in all 3 games and we threw it away.
Yep.
So we only won game 1, and then we threw away a medium lead in game, or a small lead in game 2, and a like a medium-sized to pretty big lead in game 3. So the seeding, we didn't take care of business. The seeding was tough. It was a kind of a combination of both. But let's get back to the actual placings of the tournament. The top 8 was interesting. It was a very interesting top 8 between like when I look at the top 8 without seeing who went, like your top 8 teams were Luna Snowy, Radish Megdi, Java Fakey, Anime Hideaway. I'm a poet, I didn't know it. Boomy Sandstorm, Daddy Hizo and Truck Stop, Zen and Walshy, and Maiden Experience. That was your top 8. None of those teams felt like a surprise. What was a surprise is who ended up winning their rounds early in this tournament. Like, if you put Luna Snowy against Radish Magdi in any poll, and it happened, they put a poll up, 75% of the people voted Luna Snowy.
Oh yeah,
and they kind of got washed. 3-1. It wasn't like a super washing, but they got beat, and they got beat pretty handily. And then Anime Fan and Hideaway versus Java Fakey. I mean, I think most people would favor Java and Fakey, and they got washed. They did get washed 3-0.
Yeah.
Like Zen and Walshy 3-0ing Maiden Experience. That's a big one. Like there was a top 8 with upsets that we didn't expect, and it created kind of a really entertaining top 8.
Yeah, it was
that you wouldn't see. Yeah,
it was definitely a very interesting tournament, and once we got to see Radish and Megdi play in top 4 and see kind of how much mastery Radish has now of the boots reverse Sair tech.
Yeah.
I honestly thought they were going all the way. I was pretty sure they were going to win the tournament. And then Java and Fakey coming back and they just played some good ass Brawlhalla. Like,
they sure did. To borrow one from Tasty Steve and Tekken, that was just some good ass Brawlhalla. Like they were on the brink because that game 5 did not look good for a little bit, and they turned it around and they won the game 5 and got the reset, and they absolutely stomped them in the reset.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
I don't know what happened, but it just didn't. It didn't look. Suddenly, it just looked like the mental broke. Like they came unglued. Radish and Magdi. That's their name, Ragdi. They came unglued in the grand finals reset. They just couldn't get their team combos that they had. They had crazy team combos using the boots, which between boots and I guess just boots. The other 3 weapons are pretty solid at 2's combos, but sometimes you don't think boots are really crazy at 2's combos, and they were making them work and getting crazy 0 to 100s or 0 to deaths pretty regularly on those weapons and any weapon combination.
That's the thing that I was. That's the thing that I was kind of talking about on Twitter was I feel like that particular setup probably won't and probably shouldn't survive after BCX. I think that having that turnaround Sair so consistent, it just gives you too much control over where you're going to put your opponent. It's one thing if it's a weapon like Scythe that can do that, where you have that and it's not a lot of stun time or whatever. So you have very limited time that you can take to follow up on it. Whereas it's also for Scythe, it's also not a consistent setup every time because you don't have guaranteed follow-ups and a move that's as easy to hit as Boots D-Light is.
Yeah, no, Boots D-Light is super easy to hit, and you are right, there's a ton of stun on Sair, and you being able to turn it around and basically direct your opponent the way you want to with a true combo is crazy power.
Yeah.
Being able to direct it and get consistent, because you're right, with Scythe, you can direct a person, but the person needs to have perfect timing to pick up to pick them up off of the stun. The stun time is really low. You have to be really close or have perfect timing, because the stun timing is really low. With with boots, you can go make a sandwich and come back and then hit the combo. Like, it is an incredibly long stun time, akin to something like a sword and light.
Yeah,
but in the air.
That was one of the things that came up during the tournament. Is like it's like old school sword D-light reverse there, because that used to be true on sword.
That's right.
But we took that away because it was too powerful.
Because you could control the flow of the map effectively.
Yeah.
Way better than any other weapon could in the game. The problem is it's locked in for BCX.
Yeah.
Radish has shown the strength, and now I think we're going to see a lot more teams picking it up.
I think that'll be
a Sandstorm thing. He'll continue to work on his twos, his Tezca.
It was already a Sandstorm thing. He was doing it with Tezca. Yeah, this event.
You're right. So, I think Radish was doing it more consistently than he was.
I agree.
That's something that he'll work on, and I think a bunch of other top teams are going to pick up a boots character, whether it be, I don't know why people haven't picked up Thea in twos yet. Just an aside, but I think anybody who could pick up Thea and play her in twos is you're gonna hurt some people,
including your teammate probably.
Potentially, those SIGs are pretty crazy, but you can work around it.
I honestly. Gauntlets are so strong in twos right now that if you're not playing Tezca, I think you're probably trolling.
I think Orb is really strong in twos too. I think Red Raptor is a good choice as a twos character.
I mean, yeah, Radish made it work. I'm actually really curious why he was favoring Red Raptor specifically over Tezca. Like, I don't think that Red Raptor's signature kit is as good.
Because he's the best Orb player in North America.
Right, but he played Petra. He's also very good at gauntlets.
It's true. Maybe I think he just wanted the boots, and I think he's just better at Orb than in his opinion, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with Orb in twos. I think Orb is a very good twos weapon. You can get lots of crazy setups out of it.
So Java Fakey played Jala and Kaya and won with it.
Yeah, Jaya, as people are starting to call it.
That is a comp that we have played a lot.
It's true. We liked Jala and Kaya for a while.
My Jala don't work like that though.
Because Java doesn't get hit. That's the thing. In theory, Jala should be one of the best twos characters in the game. Both of her weapons are really solid at two. She's got really crazy signature kits, but her stats really prohibit her if you are prone to getting hit.
Yeah.
You die early, and especially in a game right now where maybe Lance isn't winning tournaments, but tons of people are bringing Ulgrim or Orion into a twos comp, you just take damage too quickly on Jala. Java is an incredibly talented player, one of the best players in North America. He's just able to make it work. You have to be one of those types of players. You can't be middle of the pack, show up, pick Jala, and just hope for the best. It just doesn't.
With that said, though, I kind of want to play more Jala in twos.
That's fine. I like Jala. We could, you play Jala. I'll play Kaya. I'll play Bryn. We can go old school. We could do double Jala. I got a level 50 Jala. I played Jala forever.
I don't know about double Jala, but
okay.
But no, they just made it look so good. Like we should probably go back and study some of their gameplay. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's lots of things that we could pick up from the way. Well,
what makes them so good is they didn't get hit, and it's a big deal. They played out of their mind, and once they got that reset on the other side, whereas we thought that Megdi and Radish maybe came unglued on the other side. Once they got that reset, they were just so dialed in. They both got into this flow state that it was just like, I'm in this, we're gonna win this. And it happened. They went 3-0 in the reset. So they turned it around, won their tournament. I think it's Fakey's first tournament win. I think it's both of theirs first tournament win, right?
Is it?
Has Java won a twos tournament? It's definitely Fakey's first tournament. Oh, Java Fakey won Summers.
Yeah,
that's right. They did too.
Yeah,
I forgot. I had a brain fart. I forgot about that. Java Fakey won Summers. That's right. So they are a two-time. Is Java Fakey the best team in North America right now? I guess they must be because they've won the last two majors.
That's actually kind of interesting to think about. I thought for a little while that it was going to end up being Luna Snowy because they were looking pretty strong.
If you told me at the beginning of the year that Luna wasn't going to be the best player in North America in either of the game modes, I would have told you you're trolling. But he's just not right now. And I don't think he's got something to prove at BCX.
I mean, he's had a lot of issues that he's had to deal with this year with like
I know. I feel bad
stuff
for him.
And
the wrist stuff. I feel bad for him, but
hopefully he gets sorted out and comes back.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't feel too bad about whatever happens at BCX if he doesn't do well and comes back stronger next year. That would be the ideal.
Yep.
In my mind.
Yep. It just blows my mind every time I look at a tournament and go, Boomy and Snowy won Worlds and broke up. They won the biggest tournament in the world and broke up.
I was talking to somebody about this. I don't remember who it was over the weekend. And I feel like if Boomy is the one who initiated that change because just to get Boomstorm back together, I feel like he's probably kicking himself right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Snowy has done exceptionally well for himself with Luna this year. And to be fair, they didn't place that far away from each other, like Luna, Snowy, Boomy, Sandstorm this tournament.
Nope.
So there is like signs that either of them could be very competitive. But I feel like Boomy Sandstorm just did not hit any of the expectations that was set by that
legacy of a name.
Yeah, exactly. The legacy. They didn't live up to the legacy this year.
Except that what's going to happen is they're going to show up to BCX and dominate.
I mean, maybe.
Boomy has never, other than 2018 is the only time he hadn't won 2018 and 2016. So 17, 19, and 22. He's won 3 Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
So, 16 makes sense. He was but a wee lad during 16.
And that was Starlight and Daiku in 2016,
That was
right?
Starlight and Daiku. And then 18 was Addy and Cake. They were just the team of destiny because they beat LDZ and I with a quadruple clash, and that was the only reason they beat us. I'm not kidding. If you get a chance, go watch the VOD. It is on YouTube. And LDZ and I are tied with Atomestic 1-1 in Game 3 in pools. And we are smashing Game 3. And there was all 4 of us clashed all in the air at one time. And LDZ and I got the weird swap place clash.
Oh, no.
And didn't realize it. So LDZ didn't realize he ended up under the stage and bonked. And I didn't realize I was up in the air and got killed by a gun recovery or whatever it was by Cake, immediately.
Oh, no.
And it tied the game up. And we still had an opportunity to win because we ended up in a 2v1, but we were both red when we got that 2v. We were stomping. We should have beat them. They shouldn't have won. So they became the team of destiny and win all the way. So good for them. But
to think, back then, you had the opportunity to stop the team of destiny.
Because
you failed.
That's the only reason. Yes, thank you. He found awesome. It and time-stamped it.
That's crazy.
And to think, that's the reason that we had to start off, LDZ and I had to start off in losers in the money bracket, because we would have been in winners, starting winners in the bracket otherwise.
Right.
We would have effectively, this is going way back. Why are we talking about this? Anyways, long story short, that's what happened. We were talking about BCX. Anyways, to get back to it, the fact that Boomy and Snowy split up after winning Worlds is crazy to me. That would have been something I would have held on to if Boomy and Snowy didn't perform at the beginning of the year. I would have thought, okay, now you make the switch. But you made the switch after winning Worlds.
Yeah. Honestly, if either of those teams somehow managed to win BCX, that will be just huge bragging rights for whoever pulls it off, I think.
Yeah, there'd be validation.
If it ends up being Luna Snowy, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So it was crazy. Anything else that stuck out to you? Anybody go back and look at the top, any of these top 12 teams that you thought were a crazy run, or maybe you had higher hopes for? I'm looking at, I think a really good run was Alex and who was Graveyard? I know that person.
Oh yeah,
They changed their name. they're a well-known player, but they changed their name.
Yeah,
recently.
I don't remember what the name used to be. Graveyard is Worthy? I don't recognize that name either, actually.
Yeah.
Do they have another name before that?
Yeah. Maybe I don't recognize. So that makes it even more impressive that Alex is able to go with a player that I didn't really recognize. Pugsy Wubbs getting to 9th. I just don't think Wubbs is an ideal twos partner for Pugsy, so I think that's actually a pretty decent 9th. All things considered.
Pugsy is such a good twos player. Like, I don't know who he should be teaming with.
He should be teaming with Luna. How much they dominated last year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's what that team was. And then they split up so that Luna could team with Snowy. Man.
I wonder if they're kicking, if Luna is kicking himself too over that swap.
Were they placing better than Luna Snowy?
Like, they won a couple of tournaments last year. They won at least one tournament. They've won more tournaments than Luna and Snowy have, I'm pretty sure.
We're gonna have to get somebody to help us with documenting.
True. Luna and Snowy won a LAN.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking.
If you're gonna take a LAN versus online, then you might be right.
Yeah, I don't think Luna would be kicking himself. I think that they've been performing well enough that that he wouldn't be too upset about that swap. But Pugsy, I mean, I don't have any feelings on Wubbs one way or the other. Maybe not the ideal teammate for Pugsy. Maybe is. I don't know. I feel like Pugsy is just a really good player who I would like to see succeed in twos. Because he's just, I don't know, just really impressive to watch him play.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the epitome of don't get hit and then hit really hard.
Cody Travis and Phazon was probably the most disappointing outside the top 12.
They've been underperforming all year. And I don't know if that's because
lack of practice, maybe?
Lack of practice. I was going to say, because I don't very often see Cody online. I know Phazon's playing quite a bit, but I don't see Cody online a ton.
I've seen them play on stream a good bit when Phazon's streaming. I don't know if it's like maybe a quality of practice thing, maybe.
Maybe.
And then Cody played pretty well in ones, so yeah, I don't know. I think it's just maybe the gap that's starting to emerge between some of these newer age teams and how much more effective that they've been at kind of like getting their game plans together and sticking to them and making them work compared to some of the older teams or some of these teams of older players who are still trying to kind of figure it out.
You know who had a good run?
Who's that?
Costlix and Flower.
That is a pretty good run.
All things considered, I think that's a pretty solid run. I think they played really well. Good for them. Beat some halfway decent teams. Glue and Sprite's a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
13th ain't that bad. So good for them.
Hardy MJ and Jet Bean, with Hardy MJ having very little practice.
Yeah, and losing to us in the morning.
Well, they got us back, so...
Yeah, that's true. And Blue Guys and Volst. Not a bad run from those guys. Good for them. I'm very happy for Blue Guys. That's my homie, so...
Yeah.
Good run. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It was an interesting top 8, and it was fun to play. And that's Autumn's. Let's look forward to the Autumn Royale now, coming up. I think I already talked about my predictions about Autumn's Royale, so I don't know how much we have to go into it.
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed from when we talked about it last week.
No, I think one of the big 3 is going to win it, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of the big 3 were in the top 3. So yeah, that's
nothing's changed. As far as Loki is concerned, because I know we wanted to talk about him now that he's been in the game for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you had a chance to play with the character or play against the character? And do you have any feelings one way or another about kind of his kit now that you've maybe been exposed to it a little bit more?
Well, I think I've only played 2 games with Loki. It's not really my character, obviously. At one point, I was a pretty decent Katars player, but 3 years away and the hand's getting older, guitars are a little bit harder for me to play now. So I don't play as much of guitars anymore. Playing against Loki, I think the character is really good. I think the SIGs are really strong. The nice part is they don't kill super early, a lot of them, which is like his balancing factor in a way. But that which SIG is that? The guitar, is it side SIG where he does the down, or is it the D SIG? Where I was saying that it was like, yeah, the D SIG, like the cracked out Ulgrim D SIG. That SIG's really broken. That's a really good SIG.
Wait, the cracked out Ulgrim D SIG. Are you talking about the one that looks like N SIG?
I'm confused. What are you talking about? The one where he smashes down with the guitars, and then the one without the active input.
I think you're talking about side SIG.
I think you're wrong. Oh yeah, side SIG. That's the one. Yeah, it is side SIG. That's right. That SIG's really good. It's a really good SIG.
Yeah, guitar side SIG's good. Side SIG is good.
Yeah. That was the one. That was the SIG where they asked the balance team. They're like, "What do you want to do about balancing this?" And the balance team was like, "Yes." And that's all they did. That's all they said. They're like, "How do you want to balance the SIG? We've done the art for it. How do you want to balance it?" And the balance team was like, "Yes." That SIG's good. The one where he teleports and sends out the beam to the left or the right.
Yeah, side SIG.
Mediocre SIG. It's okay. It's pretty good.
That SIG is very interesting. I've learned a couple of things. I've learned a couple of interesting uses for it since I recorded my video and since we last talked about it. It is a crazy wall coverage tool.
It's probably true.
If you're dealing with somebody and they've got limited options and they're coming back to the wall and they get to the point where like they can choose a number of places to land on the wall and that's all they can do, but you can't like commit to like something like a gravity cancel, like an unarmed D-light or like an unarmed down heavy or something like that. Like that has a chance to miss.
Mm-hmm.
The scythe down SIG will actually cover the entire wall. Like if you GC it in the right place, because of the way that the hitbox works during the falling animation, like that's the thing that blew my mind when I realized that the actual falling part of the SIG has a hitbox.
Okay.
Yeah. You can literally GC it at the bottom of the wall and cover the entire wall and then some from the projectile that comes out after it. So like if somebody tries to dodge like straight up or to the right or something, like they'll get caught by the swing. And if they dodge out and then try to come back in, they get caught by the projectile. And if they go to the wall, the entire wall is covered.
It just sounds like they threw everything to the wall with this character. I don't blame them for making Loki a big, really strong character because it's one of those iconic characters, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to sell the game to somebody, you're going to sell them to all of the crossovers, and then you're going to sell them that, oh yeah, and we also have Thor and Loki, you know, big characters, right?
But I also don't think the character is high tier.
I think the character's pretty good.
I think it's pretty good. I think in the right hands, it will be something to look out for. But none of the SIGs are, like, insane. Like, they're really good. Like, the two side SIGs in particular are really good coverage and hitboxing-wise. But everything else about them is very average.
I think if you're taking a character that and giving them decent stats and giving them 6 really good SIGs.
He's only got 4 really good SIGs.
4 really good SIGs and 2. We're not talking about like a vector release D-SIG.
I know, he doesn't have any SIGs that are that bad.
Or like, you know, like something that bad. Speaking of, because that SIG has been reworked and is actually usable now, what do we think is the worst SIG in the game? Just real quick, off the top of your head, when you think worst SIG in the game.
Worst SIG in the game.
Yeah. It can't be because Core Hammer Side Sig actually has
No. You're saying D-Sig, right? The rollout?
Bodvar Sword and Sig. Are you what?
Are
Hello?
you high? That thing has
ban him from this chat.
Sandwick. Bodvar Sword Insig is a vacuum cleaner. Ada Blaster
Ada Blaster's Insig.
I don't know if I agree with that either.
That's the one where she does the flip. That's not a great Sig.
It's not. No,
Ada Blaster's D-Sig. That one's
bad. Okay, that one's bad.
That's a bad signature.
I can agree with that. Ada Blaster D-Sig is pretty trash.
That's a bad signature. If any character needs a Sig reworked right now, it's that one. Because why would you use that over just the side Sig, which is broken on Ada? It's so fast and kills so early versus this D-Sig that's like pew, 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 and then it's got this giant blast at the end
that does nothing.
That you think is going to absolutely obliterate you, and then you go like 4 feet and you walk up and kill him with like a haymaker. It's worse than an unarmed Sig. Like, you've got guns that shoot lasers at somebody, and then the guy walks up to you and just goes, "Whoo!" and haymakers you in the face, and that kills you quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Ada Blaster D-Sig is probably up there.
That's got to be up there. The Ada Blaster's D-Sig. Yes, that is true, and if you somehow manage to only get hit by 1 blast, it only did 9 damage.
It's pretty decent right now, especially gravity canceled against the wall. That splash damage is kind of absurd.
Fun fact about Roland Lance side Sig, while we're on Sigs here. If you only somehow get hit by the first bit, before it goes poke and then poke up, if you only somehow get hit by the first bit, it only does 1 damage.
I don't know if I've ever seen that Sig drop.
It's like if you get interrupted in the middle of it. You'll only get 1 damage off.
I'm very monkey brain, so when I do an Insig and it doesn't go up, I get mad. That's fair.
That's true. So
that's fair. You'll get used to that if you play like a Surrey or something and play guitars. All the Sigs go down.
except that at least a Surrey's going up.
Yeah. At least the hitbox goes up.
At least the hitbox is going up.
The hitbox goes up to dunk, but the actual hitbox for Ada's is down, which is weird.
Yeah. Ada jumps up and shoots down on an N-Sig. That doesn't make any sense. So at least visually, I'm monkey brain too, but at least visually the Asuri one makes sense. Because at least the character's going up and the hitbox is going up.
It's like how Thatch Blaster's N-Sig is like a side Sig.
Yes, it is. Thatch Blaster's N-Sig is a side Sig.
Yeah.
And then
it's like they gave Thatch 2 side Sigs and then a D-Sig that shoots up.
Yeah.
In an arc.
Man, old character designs were wild.
Yeah.
Old character, you could really tell BMG was just like, we're making a fighting game, how do we make a character?
Yeah.
Like, here's Thatch. That's not to say Thatch is a bad character, by the way. Thatch is a pretty good character, but
oh no, Thatch used to be really bad, but he is significantly better now.
Yeah, pretty good character, but that's his biggest weak point is he doesn't have a Sig on his blasters that really targets upwards. But anyways, we're going on a big tangent.
I mean, that's kind of the point of the show today, I think.
Oh, I know. I think
today is Brawlcast Tangents, the episode with chat participation.
Yeah, we have some. We're both a little bit tired today, so but we wanted to get some entertainment out to you guys. So,
do you guys like Bryn? Bryn is one of Double Dime's favorite characters.
Bryn is close to my heart.
Thoughts on Ada Spear D-Light GC Insig being confirmed again? Fuck that. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that can't happen because that Insig is already really good, and to put it inside of a true combo, I would just rather just jump out of a window.
Oh man, every time I see an Ada in queue now, I know it's because it's because of that one interaction is like the only reason that Ada's being played right now, and it drives me nuts.
It just kills so early because the Sig is actually so good. You know, like the Sig is so solid. It has so much force. On some smaller maps, you kill it orange. That's crazy.
Yeah. Is it confirmed out of sidelight too? If you've got no dodge, that's the thing that was super crazy. Sidelight, D-light. No. I mean, like if
you just hit a sidelight, can you confirm it?
Oh well, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah.
It would probably cover a bunch of dodges.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got no dodge going into the sidelight, then yeah. Don't know, I'll test it real quick. All right, Sandwick will be back in a little bit with information on
We have our own research team on this podcast, and it's literally we don't pay him. He's a volunteer.
He's been giving us all the details on the tournaments. He's in-game labbing shit for us so that we can talk about it on the show. It's great.
Well, we got some time, so let's take some questions. With Baidvar, yes, I adore Bryn. I have 70 plus levels on Bryn. I will not answer Faley's question. He's typed it twice now. Be quiet, Dan.
Dan is in chat trolling.
I love Bryn. Bryn is great. Am I a mod in your chat?
I don't know. Are you? Type something.
I'm not even a mod in your chat. This is
I got you.
This is disgusting.
It is disgusting.
You timed me out.
I didn't time you out. Oh, Dan timed you out.
Oh my god.
Mod double dime.
Ekram. I think that's how that pronounced. Thank you. I'm a mod now. Do you think Brawlhalla was more fun back in the day, or is it better now? We're biased.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna wait for you to answer this one.
The game was a lot less. People weren't as. What's the word I'm looking for?
What is the word you're looking for, Doug?
We weren't as refined at the video game back then.
Okay.
We weren't as optimal. That's the word I'm looking for.
Sure.
We weren't as optimal back then. So the game in itself, because we weren't as optimal, we made more mistakes, which made the games faster paced, which made the games more fun. So in that way, because we were all worse, the game was more fun. Now, I did play the game during Chain Dodge era, and the game was not fun during Chain Dodge era, and I don't even know why I stuck with the game.
You didn't know back then.
I didn't know any better, but
it's actually
Dodge was a different video game.
It was very different, and it's hard to really think about because Chain Dodge was so much worse, and we kind of knew that it wasn't good, and the whole community kind of knew that it wasn't good to have all those iframes all the time, and everybody kind of seemed to universally agree that this is kind of not great. And then when it was solved, and then we got
a Dash,
and started playing on Dash, and just how much better the game was, instantly, just from that change was. I mean, if you're talking that far back in the day, yeah, no, the game is way better now. But if you're talking post Dash, between then and now, honestly, I think the game still is better today.
It's the game. I don't think the game is more entertaining. Not even close.
I think it's different because there was still so much that needed to be figured out back then.
But that's what created entertainment. Because it was like, how do I want to word this? I don't know how to put it into perspective. Nobody here watches sports, so it's really tough for me to put it in a sports in a sport related to sports. It's okay, just bear with me. It's like the NHL versus the AHL. The NHL is the top league in hockey in the world. And Dan will get this one. The NHL is the top league in the world. So they're very refined. Defense is really good. Mistakes are really low. Now it's different because there's a time limit and it's very back and forth. But when you get two really good teams playing in the playoffs, it's really low scoring and not a lot of chances. Then you get to the AHL, which is the league just below it. And there's tons of mistakes because not everybody's right there. And it makes for these huge open games that are super entertaining and just a lot of fun to watch. Where I think we are and where I think we continue to go, and I love Brawlhalla to death, is as more players start realizing that there's no reason to approach, we're going to start seeing more and more 8-minute timeouts. It's just gonna happen, in my opinion. Games are already getting long. We're already regularly seeing 6-minute games.
How frequently do we really see 6-minute games, though?
Unless you're uber talented, like Sandstorm is, for example, at a weapon that's super explosive. and gets the reads 3 times in a row, a lot of these matches are going 6 minutes.
I kind of wish we had like a left stick or someone like that in chat right now who could tell us the average length of games in top 8 or top 16.
I don't want to get too far ahead because Badevar did ask a really good question.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Yeah, do you plan on having a live recording of Brawlcast at BCX? That would be cool if we can somehow make that happen.
It's going to be tough. We would need, I don't know, 15 to 16 minutes. So if you average that out to a 3-game set, that's over 5 minutes a game. So that's over half the timer being used.
But that's set length, not game length. I mean, yeah.
I would love to be able to do a live showing of the Brawlcast at BCX. We could grab people as they walk by, do a quick snippet and stuff like that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Figuring out how to record it.
That's the issue, is figuring out how to record it. We could probably get some help from BMG. They'd probably help us out on that. We have insiders.
I'm already talking about how to get help from them on Origin, so I don't want to load too much on them.
We talk to Toast. We don't talk to other people. Toast.
But there's 2 things that we really need to make that happen. We need a way to record the footage, and we need a way to make the audio not sound like shit. And if we can have those 2 things, we can make the rest of it work. I think that would be a cool thing to do. So
I stopped interacting with the community for a good 3 years because of the pandemic, and when I came back, there was a huge influx of new players. How do you feel about the new generation of Brawlhalla pros?
Done.
I don't know. None of them seem to have much of a personality so far. I'm hoping some of them will break out and show some of it. I follow them all on Twitter. They're kind of boring.
Some of them do. Like Stingray. Stingray's got a bit of a personality, and he also does other things that are interesting besides just Brawlhalla.
Yeah,
which I think is part of what makes a person have a bit of a personality, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I'm not saying it's a blanket statement. I just think they're a little bit more boring than what we had. I mean, we had, Sandstorm being Sandstorm. Like, Sandstorm still, he's got his personality. He's a goof. He's a troll. He's very sure of himself when he wins a tournament. We still have that personality. That's
the thing about it is it's a hard comparison to make because we had like strong personalities. Because we had people like Crocky, we had people like Isidru, we had people like Ithro, we had people like Noel,
like me,
like you.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was strong, big personalities that people knew. Lil Capped.
Lil Capped is another excellent example.
Like, we had these big, strong personalities that people could get behind or people could hate.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing, is that they are younger.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly our point, is that
they are, but mind you, Isidru was younger, and Wrenched was younger, and these players did have personalities going into things like that.
Yeah.
You're right, they're younger. I think as they grow up, as they start to get a little bit more comfortable, they'll start to show it a little bit more. But that's the other thing, is that at the tip top, we all came into, you got to remember that our group, let's call it 2016, 2017 onwards until like 2019, right? 2016 to 2019, we all kind of were with the infancy of the game.
Yeah.
So we had this strong camaraderie of, we were with this infancy of this video game that not a lot of people were playing or watching or looking at or taking seriously.
Yep.
So it gave us a sense of a real sense of a community. When you showed up to a LAN, you could pretty much hang out with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, and I haven't been to one, full disclosure, since 2019. But even when I just literally was just talking with Isidru a couple of nights ago, we were playing TFT together, and he said that it just didn't feel the same at BCX 2022. It just wasn't the same. He said he still had some of his friends, but he didn't have everybody, and it didn't feel like there was that type of camaraderie. And I think that was always going to happen when the game got as big. The game's big now, guys. It's not a small game anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that was always going to happen. You were now no longer going to have this kind of small community mentality.
It was different. It was different because at the last at the earlier BCXs before the pandemic, like the events were like pretty decent sized for like what the game was. And when we went to DreamHack, like we were part of a much larger event. And those two things combined kind of caused Brawlhalla to stick together a lot as well. And then you come in like post-pandemic after the game has kind of exploded over the course of the pandemic. We added all these new players. The community itself is just so much larger. And then we get to BCX 2022 and you see it in like how much larger the event is, how many people come out, just the number of faces that I didn't recognize at this past BCX compared to previous ones. Like there's just a lot more people in the game. And so like back then it felt like a big kind of Brawlhalla family, and now it's just too big to have that level of kind of closeness with everyone. And
I did want to touch on what Badebar also said, is that it feels like that they're trying to prove themselves to the older players. It doesn't even feel like that. In some cases, I've always been sometimes a bit of a grating player to play against.
Yes.
Now I'm considered a fast player, but at least back then I was considered a pretty grating player to play against. And I never, or very rarely, was talked down to or attacked by my contemporaries. Never happened. Ever. We were all friends because we seem to understand that a play style and a personality, they don't exist. They do not correlate. And I feel like the new age of player can't differentiate from the two. And I have recently been talked down to or attacked by newer up and coming players just because of the way I play, especially if I win the games. And that's just not something that used to happen.
I think that's just I think it's mostly just an immaturity thing.
Yeah, I get that. Again, comes with age.
Yeah.
But it never used to happen.
Younger player base with the growing community. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly it. I mean, let's be real. If we go back, like if we wind the clock back and we look back at like Boomy in 2017, like I think even Boomy would agree with me when I say this. The kid was a bit of an asshat.
He knew.
And
he grew up a lot.
He grew up a lot.
And quickly, too.
In the community. And so I think lands make a difference. Because like when you actually get to these events and you meet people in person and you actually see faces behind the names. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Left Stick is saying pretty much exactly what I'm talking about. Like they only like lived behind their screens without seeing people at lands. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it is. And I noticed some of it improved like almost immediately after BCX. And some of it is still kind of kicking around with people being just immature, and they'll grow up. It'll improve. But I mean, every new generation of players is going to have this problem. Because like if we look at Brawlhalla over a long enough time horizon, if we truly believe that this game is not going anywhere for a long time, which I do, I think it's still got quite a bit of life left in the tank. At some point in the not too distant future, in theory, we should be cycling in another new generation of players. And those players are going to have a lot of the same and similar problems that we're talking about with the current generation that's kind of growing up with the game and slowly starting to mature. And you see it with a lot of people, I think. I don't want to name any specific people right now, but I've seen it with a handful of people that are like top 8 contenders right now, how they have over the last year, 2 years have matured quite a lot.
Dan, you've needed to mature for a long time.
Dan, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
We've just accepted it at this point.
I think the other thing that for these players is that our generation reigned for so long you almost could look at the top 32 of a North American tournament and guess all top 32 slots before the tournament started. And I think for a lot of them, it's now we finally have broken in, and now we got to prove ourselves even more and be like, we're the big guys now.
I mean, a lot of that is just difference in size of the community, because a lot of the reason that you could like list the top 32
it's because there was only 32 good players.
And it's like back then there was like 20 consistent top 32 players, and then like you'd have this random assortment of like 12 players that just cycled in and out on the bottom half of that bracket.
Death, Taxes, and iThrow getting top 32. I think he had the longest top 32 streak of all time. I think it was iThrow that hit that. The longest top 32 streak of all time. Not missing a tournament. We're not like, because Boomy missed a couple tournaments but didn't miss top 32. Right. Like iThrow literally didn't miss a top 32 for I think 4 years or something like that.
That's kind of crazy.
So
Noel also. Yeah. Noel was like incredibly consistent back then.
Yeah, I ended Noel at 49th at one tournament though, so can't be that consistent if you're losing to me for 49th. So
how recent was that?
That was 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was 2020.
That was about when Noel was deciding to not play anymore.
That was right before BCX 2020. That was Mammoth Cup. I ended him at 49th.
2020 was 1 billion years ago, Dime. Yeah. It pretty much feels that way.
Okay, then how about when we eliminated him and iThrow at final round? There's one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah. Who is Baidvar?
Who is Baidvar? That's what happens when you like disappear.
Yeah. There was another question. That was a fun one that I wanted to see.
Oh yeah.
I think it was Ekram again. Where did it go? I saw it. It was a fun one. Where did it go? I lost it. Maybe it wasn't Ekram.
Do any of you think somebody will ever surpass the achievements of Sandstorm?
I doubt it. Nobody's winning that many world championships again. I think when Sandstorm retires, it'll be a rotating cast because the game's just so big. Like, he's got 6 of them. He's got 3 1s and 3 2s championships.
I would have liked to see Impala come back and do the double. Him choosing to retire this year was a big disappointment for me.
Impala's the prime example of somebody who has all the talent in the world and didn't love something.
It's less that he didn't love it and more that he just loved something else more and chose to pursue that instead.
I guess so, but if you are that talented at something, you'd think you just keep rolling in the money. You know what I mean?
I respect it. Honestly, he had his mind made up about what he wanted to do and he went after it. So
yeah,
despite being good enough to make good money playing Brawlhalla.
Yeah.
So I think that's a
no, good for him. Don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against. It's just that's just what that is. I think, go good for him if that's what he wants to do. It's just I think that's just what it is.
I think that the potential is there for it to maybe happen someday. Like I think someday maybe somebody could surpass Sandstorm. What will be mind-bending is if Sandstorm wins BCX this year. If he wins BCX this year, I think there's no shot anybody catches up to him at that point.
Impala won last year, Baidvar.
Yeah.
No, Sandstorm. I don't think Sandstorm is surpassable. I just don't think. I don't think the game itself has the longevity for somebody to win that much. I think eventually you got to start thinking about Brawlhalla 2 or its successor at some point. So I don't think there's somebody that can show up and win 6 championships before the game is turned over to a new game.
I mean, maybe. I think Brawlhalla as a game itself probably has enough longevity that if somebody was going to do it, it would have to happen. Like the role would have to start pretty soon. Like whoever wins BCX this year is going to need to be extremely dominant next year in order for that chain to start.
Maury, I think with Brawlhalla, I think it would be I think it needs a full engine overhaul if they're thinking something like that. So I would think it would have to go to a Brawlhalla 2. In my opinion anyways.
That would be a tough one because people losing all of the skins and stuff that they bought as a consequence of losing quote unquote if it ended up being like a new game. The problem with The problem with Overwatch 2 was that they overpromised and underdelivered, like hardcore. Overwatch 2, the way that they did the in-place upgrade would have been perfectly fine had they not just totally screwed up the whole purpose of doing that change.
I gotta answer Sandwick's question here because this is something that I'm very passionate about.
Okay.
Split up the balance between 1s and 2s. There's so many games that split up their balances between like PvE and PvP. Like MMOs will split up the balance between PvE and PvP. These are two totally separate game modes. And the problem is you can nerf or buff something and make it completely broken in one game mode and completely useless in the other. Or you buff it to make it stronger in a game or stronger overall, and it just absolutely it just breaks it in a game mode. Like
I think that would be really difficult.
It would be so tough, but if you could just put them, I guess the way it is, like, because
the reason that like PvE versus PvP balance works in MMOs is that you're not playing against other people.
That's true. Don't get me wrong. I know that there's a difference there, but they are two separate game modes altogether.
They are two separate game modes, but you can't. The thing about it is like you can't do anything other than like damage changes.
I guess so.
If you start making changes to like frame data or hitboxing or anything like that, then you start making the game feel different depending on which game mode you're playing.
I guess what is wrong with that is my answer.
Because
we already have people who are dedicated to one game mode and the other. Why not have people be
I don't know if that's
specialists?
Necessarily true.
I think so. I think there's lots of people who'd rather play 2s than 1s. I think if anybody's dedicated to a game mode, it's most people are dedicated to 2s and just play 1s as an offshoot.
If you were truly dedicated to just one game mode, they would honestly have to either retire one of the game modes or raise them both up to be like equivalent to the way both of them are today.
I guess it's just like when you look at something like right now the balance is pretty good, but for a while there, when you looked at Axe for the longest time, it's always been really solid at 2s, even when it was bad. But it was borderline unplayable in 1s for a while there. And now they've buffed it enough that it's still stupid, if not really strong at 2s now, like stupidly good. But it's also pretty, like, we're seeing it win.
We're seeing it win lands. We're seeing it win
solo lands.
Yeah.
So that's where something like that needs to get looked at, in my opinion.
I don't think you can. I don't think.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can, but I think it's something that should. I think if it was something that was from the get-go and they did it that way, I think that would have. You can't do it now. It's too late. It can't happen. But I think if it was like a 2016, 2017, even 2018 change, I think that's something that they could have gotten away with.
I'll put it to you this way. I think that is actually radical enough that if they had done that from the beginning, one of the game modes would just be dead today. Everyone would have gravitated to whatever the main game mode they decided was the one, and the other game mode just wouldn't get played.
Nah, money talks. As long as you keep funneling money into both game modes, it wouldn't have mattered.
I don't know. Even with the money, there was a period of time where people really didn't like playing 2s.
That's because you could sit there and infinite sword and light somebody to death without them getting out of it.
Yeah,
that was just poor design. That was fixed.
Yeah. I mean, I think it puts too much cognitive load on the players. Is probably like the main thing. Because if you're having to keep track of like moves that just behave differently depending on what game mode you're in, that's just really weird.
Would you both argue it was easier for Sandstorm to win due to lesser talent in the overall regions now? No, because Sandstorm's insane at all fighting games.
Sandstorm was so far ahead of everyone else when he was dominant that it was...
go on.
I was going to say, like, it wasn't that there was less talent, it's just that he was just so far ahead of everyone else.
And if he continued to play and not take that break for multiverses, he would have stayed so far ahead of everyone else. We're seeing it. He's already caught back up.
That's a little bit questionable, maybe.
He's already caught back up, though.
The rate that people... That's the thing, is like, everybody, like, the entire scene kind of levels up together, right?
Yep.
You had Sandstorm, who was like... The Wrench versus Sandstorm Grand Finals like 8 times in 2019. Yeah. But like you had like Wrench or Sandstorm, who was like so far ahead of everybody else, while the entire scene was kind of like leveling up behind him. Yeah. He took that break and ended up falling below everybody else as like they passed him, right? But there's like it's like diminishing returns over time. Eventually, like he wouldn't be able to stay ahead of people at the rate that everybody else was improving. Eventually, everyone would start to catch up.
Maybe. I don't know. The only person that got close during his reign of terror was Wrenched. Nobody else was close.
Yeah. It was very, very dominant back then.
Like,
I'd argue he's coming back fast if he's not already back. No,
he's already back. He's back. He's so back.
I think this Royale is going to be a really interesting preview of what's going to happen at BCX.
We already said between Kaina and Sandstorm, whoever wins this Royale is the best player in the world going into BCX.
Yeah.
And if Godly wins it, then you've got a 3-headed dragon of who the best player in the world is right now. But whoever wins, if Kaina or Sandstorm wins this, they are by far and away the best player in the world going into BCX. And if Godly wins it, you have 3 of the best players in the world.
BCX top 8 is going to be so Mickey no matter what happens. Why Mickey? What?
It's a hard tournament. You're gonna have bracket wreckers.
There is.
You won't have Sandwick to break the top 32 though. So
true. No, whatever happens in top 64 at BCX is going to be the real crazy stories. I think there's going to be some wild upsets in that bracket before we even get to top 8.
It's gonna be an interesting tournament. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
You still have my jersey from last year, too. You going to bring it?
I think it's actually sitting over here behind me.
Perfect. Bring it so I can grab it.
Yeah. I will try to remember that.
They're going to be incorrect, but I would be utterly shocked if Sandstorm wasn't in the top 8. There's not 8 players in the world better than Sandstorm right now. And really, honestly, doesn't matter how quote-unquote Mickey it is. You can only play who's in front of you, and whoever wins the tournament's the best player in the world.
Projection rates are going to probably be the most incorrect they've ever been. I mean, yeah, they kind of already are. I mean, they have been. How frequently has the projections just got wrecked at almost every tournament that's happened this year?
I mean, even when it was a really consistent top 32, I could never get the top 8 right. So there's no world where I'm getting the top 8 right now.
Yeah.
So
that's the crazy thing, is it feels like, I don't know about other regions. I know that like Europe and South America have like a much smaller handful of like really consistent like top 4, top 8 players. But in North America right now, the thing that makes this region different from everybody else is that like we have like 15 or 16 top 8 contenders at this point, and they are duking it out every tournament for 5th, 6th, 7th to see who actually makes it into those last few spots and top 8.
I think we got time for one more question, guys, before we one, maybe 2 if they're really interesting, and then we're gonna kill it.
Yeah. Oh damn, how has it already been almost an hour and a half?
I know.
How do we keep doing this?
Oh, we're having a good time. Blue guys, that doesn't count as a question, but we are doing just swell, thank you. And we shouted you out earlier. You and Volz did really well. Congratulations on your placing during 2s. That was really good. That was awesome.
Who would you both want to win BCX?
We both want Sandstorm to win BCX. I mean, the in my heart question is I show up and win BCX. I want to win BCX.
Yeah,
you always bet on yourself. Aside, I keep seeing good players making predictions and not predicting them winning tournaments. And that is the stupidest mentality I've ever seen in my life. Always predict you're going to win a tournament because you're already going in with a negative.
I'm a Sandstorm fan, so yeah, I would like to see Sandstorm win BCX. My no bias answer to that question is kinda.
My no bias is Sandstorm, so
yeah.
That's the question I was looking for. If you could ask any player going to the Autumn Royale any question, what would it be?
Ooh. He said earlier that it doesn't have to be Brawlhalla related.
I know. Do you put mayo on your pancakes?
God damn it, Dime. I hate that you thought the exact same thing that I did.
We both thought it. That's funny.
I mean, to be fair, we only thought that because of who was asking the question.
It's true, but we still both went there. This is what happens when you've been married for a long time, guys.
Yeah, Dime and I have now officially been teaming longer than me and Narwhal did, so
I think we might be in the history of Brawlhalla one of the longest running consistent teams.
Sandwich and Contrast.
That has actually made money.
Oh, okay, fair. We made money at Dallas. Oh, true. The end of that sentence was better than I thought it was going to go.
You guys, we made money at Dallas. Production tech.
Oh my god.
This has turned into roast Sandwick. Oh my god.
Welcome to the stream, Sandwick.
Yeah, this is so good.
We're gonna have Sandwick on as a guest at some point just so that we can actually roast him to his face.
We can do the roast of Sandwick. All right. We are gonna hit 1 hour 30 pretty quick here. I did the intro if you want to do the outro.
Thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of the Brawlcast podcast with Atrophius and Double Dime. I was Atrophius, this was Double Dime, and we will see you all next week. Same time, same place, 10 p.m. Eastern, Tuesdays. You were a goat for this series. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for watching.
Where's my love? Bye.
Bye everybody.